The Blazers GM Neil O'Shea was straight up wrong this offseason. He said hiring Chauncey Billups would fix this team. 25 games in, they have the worst defense in the league, and Chauncey is calling out the team saying they don't have any heart. Yes, they fired the GM, but is this dysfunction what finally gets Dame to demand a trade? Look, the big reason that I see big changes coming in Portland is because of the problem that Chauncey has with this squad.
Lack of pride. Of course, that bothers me. If that don't bother you, there's something going on, you know. But there's a way that I'm willing to lose, and that's not the way that I'm willing to lose. It was embarrassing, you know.
What he's talking about is a lack of fight, no pride. This team just doesn't care. They were blown out by 22 points to the Jazz, 29 to the Nuggets, 30 to the Clippers, 31 points to the 7-win Spurs, and 28 to Boston. Maybe Chauncey isn't the right hire. Maybe some of these vets don't like the way that he coaches. But we know he can coach basketball, but what he can't coach is guts. Like, if you're down by double digits, it's the NBA. You can always come back. If they don't even have the heart to try to come back, that is a huge problem. But if the players are the issue, it makes sense why they fired their GM. But he was actually let go for just being a total dick. The Athletic reported, quote, O'Shea swears a lot, he rants often, and he has a little patience for incompetence. Catch him at the wrong time, and all three of those traits can manifest into a red-faced, vein-popping tornado of anger. He will talk to you however he wants and treat you however he wants. People literally avoid walking his way in the office, a former employee said. Wow. Okay, yes, that is pretty bad. And apparently the reason the Blazers have never traded CJ McCollum is that GM was too proud to trade his guy because he was one of his rare good first-round picks. Ever since getting CJ at 10th in 2013, the Blazers have whiffed on every first except for one. 2015, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson at 23rd, traded to the Nets. 2017, Justin Jackson at 15, traded to the Kings. Harry Giles at 20, traded to the Kings. Caleb Swanigan at 26, how'd that work out? 2018, Anthony Simons at 24, okay, that was a good pick. 2019, Nasir Little at 25th. 2020, Isaiah Stewart at 16, traded to Detroit. Obviously, they haven't traded for another star in that time, so they are rolling with CJ and Dame, which has gotten them 6 playoff appearances, 4 first-round exits, a 16-30 playoff record. Everyone knows that this team is going nowhere. They're not going to make the finals or win a chip. And the reason that I know that big changes are coming is now that dysfunction in the locker room. People are pissed. They're being treated wrong by the GM. The coach is calling out guys for not having guts. I know Dame's a loyal guy, but at this point, I think players would be happy to get the hell out of Portland. This actually kind of reminds me of like the Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan Raptors back in the day. They had a happy locker room, but on the court, like everyone knew they're a playoff team with a really low ceiling. It took a really ballsy trade by Masai Ujiri to turn everything around, bringing in Kawhi Leonard and winning a chip. That is exactly the kind of move that the Blazers need to do right now with this team. And I have heard a lot of people say, oh, they need to blow the whole thing up and trade Damian Lillard. I think that would be a big mistake. If they do that, they'll probably get some good young players, maybe an all-star, a ton of picks, which is fine, but they would just be hoping one of those turns into the next Damian Lillard. You already have him on the team. The Blazers need to keep Dame and flip at least CJ McCollum and possibly Anthony Simons to win a chip with Dame as their best player. I mean, just look at the Rockets, right? They got exactly what they wanted for James Harden going to the Nets. We have no idea if they're gonna succeed on that trade. Like right now, honestly, they're the losers. Actually, I was at their game the other night against the Pelicans who, oh yeah, traded Anthony Davis and got Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson on the same team, but still lost to those Rockets. The only guarantee is a superstar, and Portland is lucky that Dame has been this loyal. 9 out of 10 stars in his position would have demanded a trade, so they should reward that loyalty by blowing up the rest of the roster. Now, I have said in previous videos that I think the Sixers and the Blazers are on like a crash course to trade CJ and Ben Simmons. And now Shams just reported multiple sources have told The Athletic that Lillard would like to play with Philadelphia 76ers three-time All-Star Ben Simmons. Boom! It is going to happen, people, but what will it take? That is the big question. Well, earlier this season, a report said that the Sixers offered Ben to the Blazers for CJ plus basically 6 first-round picks, which is a little much. Obviously, the Blazers said no, but now we kind of know, okay, if that is the starting point for negotiation, where do we go from there? And by the way, I have a little theory about these big NBA trades. You know how trade packages got like totally out of whack just in recent years? Like back in the day in 2012, the Rockets got Harden for 2 players and 2 picks. The Clippers got Chris Paul for 3 role players and 1 first. Then in 2019, everything went crazy. Like the Clippers sent 7 first-round picks and 2 All-Stars for Paul George. The Anthony Davis deal was huge. The James Harden deal was huge. I think all of that was in response to the Warriors' just dominance. Like the way that they just totally broke the league. I think teams got so scared of not being able to compete that they would just pay anything to get a superstar. Well, I think now that we're on the other side of the Dubs dynasty, the insane asking price for NBA superstars is going to come back down to earth. Plus, Ben Simmons really isn't that good, so Philly just needs to chill out. I think the deal that could get this done, knowing the initial starting point, is Sixers get CJ and 3 firsts for Ben Simmons. Now, this solves a ton of issues for both teams. The reason Dame wants to play with Ben is defense. Norman Powell could slide over to the 2-guard spot. Ben could be in the front court. Powell actually isn't that much worse on offense than CJ, but he is a lot better on defense. Ben, 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year last season. But he is not going to solve that heart issue that Chauncey Billups was talking about. I wish there were better options out there, but there's really not. Maybe a change of scenery will fix things, but probably not. And for Philly, CJ is a playmaker and a clutch performer. An underrated storyline with Philly is actually Joel Embiid isn't like the best go-to guy in crunch time. He is way too turnover prone. McCollum, though, is a win-now type clutch player, and that's the window that the Sixers are in right now. They've already expressed this interest. Now they have to go get the deal done. And the best part about all of this, if you're a Blazers fan, if this doesn't work, you can just trade Dame later. He is supposed to sign a Supermax extension starting July 6th. If he doesn't sign that, then like the clock starts ticking. Like, we have got to trade Dame. He is not going to stay here. And you know he would get a haul back in a trade package, and then they could truly rebuild. Like, the Blazers actually have nothing to lose trading CJ McCollum. Plan A is to trade CJ and try to save the season. And plan B is to then just trade Dame if it doesn't work and start all over building around Ben Simmons. And by the way, all the picks that you send out with CJ McCollum, if this thing blows up, you're going to get those picks back with Dame and then some. At that point, we can start to talk about, okay, where does Dame start his next chapter in his career? But first, I think there are big changes coming for plan A here, starting at the trade deadline, which is February 10th. And speaking of the next Damian Lillard that the Blazers would be searching for in any trade, I think we know who the next Damian Lillard already is, and it's a dude that they actually called a bust after his rookie season.